The 5 men can easily cross the line with your woman, be careful. Old Stoic wisdom. Every man harbors this silent fear, though few acknowledge it the moment you wake up and realize another man has captivated your girlfriend's attention, loyalty, and perhaps even her affection. The hardest truth, it's often not the flashy, smooth-talking stranger you might expect. Instead, it's the men who are already deeply embedded in her life. They may seem innocent, even harmless, but they possess the influence over her emotions. Once she entrusts them with that power, the rest is inevitable. If you aren't vigilant, you'll lose more than love. You'll lose respect, your sense of self-worth, and ultimately, control of your relationship. In this video, I'll reveal the 5 types of men who can easily breach your boundaries and share the strategies to ensure you maintain control and connection in your relationship. Love is not about possession. Love is about appreciation. Osho. Number 1. The gym guy. Let's talk about the man you probably think is harmless, the gym guy. No, I'm not talking about that random guy lifting weights across the room. I'm talking about the personal trainer, the one who spends hours each week with your girlfriend while you're nowhere in sight. You might think it's just about squats and treadmills, but trust me, it's far more dangerous than that. The gym is a breeding ground for blurred boundaries. And here's why. The environment is intimate and charged with energy, sweat, physical proximity, bodies in motion, skin on display. It's not a boardroom, and it's definitely not a family barbecue. In this space, closeness is normal, almost necessary. A trainer adjusting her form, touching her shoulder, waist, or legs. Well, that's all part of the job. Right, the physical touch may start off innocent enough, but over time, it becomes something more. Week after week, that touch becomes more frequent, more natural. Her clothing, leggings, sports bras, tank tops, puts her at her most physically expressive. The gym is her stage, where her body is in the spotlight. And then there's the trainer. He's literally paid to make her feel good about herself, to praise her body, to compliment her efforts. Those compliments aren't just empty words. They roll off his tongue like clockwork. You might think she doesn't take them seriously. Think again. Now, let me tell you about John, a 50-year-old retired firefighter. He was initially proud that his younger girlfriend was getting serious about fitness. She was glowing, always talking about her workouts, sharing pictures from the gym. But slowly, John noticed changes. She started dressing better just to go to her training sessions, and her sessions began stretching longer, sometimes into the late hours of the evening, when John jokingly said, "You spend more time with your trainer than with me." She brushed it off, laughing and telling him he was overthinking it. But then came the moment that stung the most. She called her trainer when her car broke down, before she called John. That was the moment John realized the boundary wasn't just blurred, it was gone. Here's the brutal truth. Blind trust in that environment is like leaving your house door wide open in the middle of the night. Most guys think they're being secure by not worrying. What they're really being is careless. Women are emotional creatures, and when you mix physical touch, admiration, and consistency, bonds form. And trust me, those bonds form faster than you think. Once that emotional spark is lit, it's not about push-ups anymore. It's about loyalty. And that loyalty may begin shifting away from you. Now, I'm not saying you should go full paranoid drill sergeant on her. That would only backfire. But you do need a strategy, a plan of action. Here's what actually works. First, if fitness is important to her, get involved. Don't sit on the sidelines. Join her. Go to the gym together, or better yet, create a workout space at home. Show her that physical energy can be a part of your relationship, not something that happens outside of it. Second, stay alert to the little changes. How much time is she spending at the gym? Has her schedule started revolving around gym hours? Is she dressing differently, more stylishly, not just in her usual sweaty casual wear? And when she finishes her workout, does her energy seem directed towards you or away from you? These are the subtle signs you shouldn't ignore. If you do, you're only fooling yourself. Third, Talk to her. But don't come at her with accusations. Observe what's happening and ask questions. Listen carefully. The goal here is not to control her, but to set boundaries, to remind her that intimacy, physical and emotional, belongs within your relationship, not with a hired trainer. The gym guy is dangerous, not because he's some superhuman alpha, but because his role gives him access to her body, her mind, her emotions. If you pretend that doesn't matter, you've already lost. Protecting your relationship starts with awareness. You cannot afford to leave that door wide open. Incorporating Old Stoic wisdom. Remember that the iron mind doesn't bend under emotional turbulence. Stay grounded in the Stoic principles of discipline, awareness, and self-control. Life will test you, and the more you internalize those Stoic principles, the better you can face temptations that come your way. Be vigilant. Know that once you let your guard down in a place like the gym, the emotional and physical lines can easily blur. So don't be the guy who lets his relationship slip into the danger zone because he didn't heed the warning signs. You must protect your bond by being proactive, not reactive. Stay sharp, stay aware, and above all, stay true to the principles that keep you strong. Number 2, the bartender or DJ. A wake-up call for men who want to protect their relationships. In the world of relationships, there are hidden dangers that often go unnoticed. One of the most subtle and dangerous threats is not a flashy young guy at the gym, but rather the bartender or DJ. If you're the stable, reliable man, this guy is the wild card who lives in a world of excitement and instant gratification. While you're hard at work, putting in the hours to build a future, he's commanding attention with every beat drop and every drink he serves. And believe me, that is not something to ignore. Why are bartenders and DJs so dangerous? If the gym guy is the slow burn, the bartender or DJ is the lightning strike. These men excel in spaces where inhibitions are lowered. Clubs, bars, and nightlife. They're not just about music or drinks. They are masters of atmosphere. They understand the power of attention. A bartender is not merely pouring drinks. He's an artist who knows how to make a woman feel seen, heard, and desired, without saying a word. Imagine a woman at the bar, enjoying the buzz of the crowd, and suddenly the bartender flashes her a smile, remembers her favorite cocktail, and engages in a brief, intimate conversation over the loud music. That's his domain. The DJ, he's controlling the energy of the entire room. His presence is magnetic. He commands the space in a way that makes the women around him feel like they're the stars of the night. That is the power of attraction at play. Temporary, intoxicating, and exciting, but ultimately fleeting. It's not real intimacy, but it feels like it in the moment. And let's face it, that high, that excitement, often fills emotional gaps women feel in their own lives. A real-life example, Robert's wake-up call. Take the story of Robert, a 55-year-old warehouse manager. He had been in a stable relationship with his younger girlfriend. She loved going out with her friends. And at first, Robert didn't mind. She came home each time, raving about the music, the flashing lights, the atmosphere. But then, a name kept slipping into her stories, the DJ. At first, it seemed innocent, part of the nightlife. But soon, Robert noticed she lingered at the club long after her friends were ready to leave, making excuses like helping clean up or chatting with people. When he questioned her, she dismissed it with a roll of the eyes, calling him paranoid. But then came the real gut punch. One night, Robert happened to glance at her phone. He saw late-night messages from the DJ, short, playful, with just enough intimacy to make his stomach drop. This wasn't just about music anymore. It was something deeper, something that felt dangerous. The brutal truth. Why the DJ or bartender can threaten your relationship? Here's the brutal truth when nightlife becomes a staple of her life, and you're not part of it. You're not just missing out on fun, you're being replaced. Bartenders, DJs, they represent the opposite of what you have built. They're freedom, excitement, rebellion. They're the wild card, the things you've worked hard to be, stable, dependable, grounded. They embody the opposite. And guess what? That contrast is intoxicating to a younger woman, especially if she's craving something new or different. It's easy to get swept up in the attention and energy that a DJ or bartender can offer, especially when that attention feels like an escape from reality. But don't panic. The solution isn't to chain her to the couch or start banning her from the nightlife scene. That will only make you look insecure and controlling, which is the last thing you want. What you need is strategy. The Stoic rules how to navigate the bartender-DJ situation with wisdom. The good news is you don't have to fight fire with fire. There's another path, practical stoicism. Stoic rules have taught us to remain calm in the face of adversity, to recognize the things we can control, and to never act out of fear or insecurity. With these principles in mind, you can deal with the DJ or bartender situation in a way that makes you more secure in yourself and your relationship. Here's how to handle it with wisdom. 1. Know the environments she's entering. The first step is awareness. If your partner is spending weekends in the nightlife scene, you can't afford to be clueless. Stay curious. Ask about her nights out, not in a suspicious way, but from a place of interest. Don't assume she's doing anything wrong, but don't bury your head in the sand either. This is part of understanding the environment she's in. You must know what she's experiencing in order to deal with it. 2. Talk boundaries. Boundaries are crucial in every relationship. If you don't set clear limits, the lines will blur, and you'll find yourself wondering how you got here. Be upfront about what respect looks like in your relationship. Is it okay for her to stay until sunrise at the DJ booth? Is it acceptable for her to be texting bartenders late into the night? Spell it out. Clear communication is key. And if you don't set the boundaries, someone else will. 3. Create alternatives. The DJ or bartender isn't dangerous because he's better than you. He's dangerous because he thrives in a space where you're absent. If you're absent for too long, don't be surprised when her attention drifts elsewhere. So, what's the solution? Build excitement and fun in your own way. Plan adventures that don't require a bar or a club. Create shared experiences that outshine the fleeting excitement of nightlife. Show her that with you. There's a deeper, more lasting thrill that's worth staying for. If you fail to be engaged, both emotionally and mentally, your relationship will become one of convenience, and in that case, the lines will be blurred. The paths of wisdom that practical stoicism teaches are vital here. Take control of your own narrative. Don't get bogged down by insecurity or fear. Show up, communicate, and make sure she knows that the true excitement is with you, not with someone who only appears to offer a temporary thrill. When you apply Stoic rules, you'll learn to approach the situation with calm, clarity, and wisdom. Be the stable presence she needs, but don't allow complacency to replace the passion and fun that keep the connection alive. Remember, the real battle isn't with the bartender or DJ. It's with the emotional distance you let grow between you. Number 3. The wealthy businessman or corporate executive. Let's be clear about this. There's a man out there who doesn't need charm or flashy nights out to pull your woman in. He wields something far more powerful: status, wealth, and authority. The businessman, the corporate executive, the CEO, he enters a room and immediately makes everyone else feel smaller. For a younger woman, the mere presence of such a man can feel like stepping into another world. And if you're not vigilant, she could get lost in it. This is the stark reality. Power is intoxicating. It's not just about the paycheck, it's about influence, the way others defer to him, and the aura of control he commands. A man who owns companies, who signs checks, who leads teams, doesn't need to flirt to attract attention. Simply by offering access to experiences, connections, and the luxuries of his world, he creates an undeniable attraction. As Epictetus, the Stoic philosopher, said, "Wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants." This is the power of control, the power of self-sufficiency, the power that draws women in. Women are inherently drawn to security and opportunity. When exposed to a world of luxury, private dinners, business trips, exclusive networking events. That attraction doesn't feel like infidelity. It feels like an upgrade. Take David Ann, for example. David is 52 and runs a small auto repair shop. His younger girlfriend worked as an assistant to a wealthy CEO. At first, he wasn't concerned. She often spoke of the long hours, the stress, and the demands of her job. But slowly, he began to notice little things. She came home with expensive gifts that she claimed were just tokens from work. She started dressing sharper, as if preparing for a photo shoot instead of the office. David told himself it was just corporate culture, but something gnawed at him. The way she spoke about her boss, the admiration in her voice, even defending him when David joked about wealthy men buying attention. It was subtle, but it wasn't lost on him. Then, she missed their anniversary dinner to attend a late work event. That was the moment David realized the line between professional respect and personal entanglement had crossed. Here's the painful truth when a woman receives attention, gifts, and time from another man that go beyond professional bounds. Your relationship is on shaky ground. The wealthy businessman doesn't need to challenge you directly. He creates a contrast. Where you are steady, he is extravagant. Where you are grounded, he is aspirational. Women, especially younger women, can get caught up in this comparison game without even realizing it. They don't need to be consciously aware of the shift, but it happens, and it happens quickly. So, what's the strategy first? Transparency. If your partner is receiving gifts or invitations that cross into personal territory, you need to talk about it. Not with accusations or jealousy, but with clarity. Help me understand why your boss is buying you gifts. That doesn't seem like just work to me. Second, pay attention to her behavior. Is she dressing more sharply, speaking with more polish, or spending more time on work events that feel suspiciously social? These aren't just professional changes. They're signs of shifting loyalty. Third, set boundaries around what's acceptable in a professional relationship. Private dinners with a boss. No. Weekend trips? Absolutely not. This is not about control. It's about protecting your relationship from blurred lines. And above all, never forget this. You can't outspend or outstate a corporate executive. That's a losing game. Competing in his arena will only leave you exhausted and empty. But you can offer something. Money can't buy. Loyalty, authenticity, and depth. Be the man who keeps her grounded, who reminds her that true wealth lies not in the shiny lights of power, but in the strength of trust and loyalty. A CEO can buy her gifts, but you can be the one she trusts with her soul. That's the currency that no amount of wealth can counterfeit. As Epictetus said, "It is not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. Stand strong, stand firm, and remember that you control the narrative of your life. Stoicism wins. Keep your integrity intact and master the art of unshakable confidence. When you hold yourself with true authority, no man, no matter how wealthy or powerful, can ever truly take what's yours." If you find this valuable, comment below and share it with someone who could benefit. Don't forget to subscribe for more wisdom. Comment to remember, I am a man of integrity and loyalty. This statement reminds us that true value comes not from wealth or status, but from authenticity, loyalty, and depth. Keep grounded, stay true, and protect what matters most. Number 4, the male bestie, emotional supporter. You need to understand something crucial. The male bestie is the most dangerous threat in a relationship. Forget the gym guy with the rock-hard abs or the CEO flashing his wealth. These are just distractions. The real danger lies in a man who knows how to crawl into her heart. The male bestie, the so-called emotional supporter, is the one who can slowly but surely cross the line. He is the one who listens to her secrets, her frustrations, and provides that emotional comfort that should be yours to offer. And here's the cold, hard truth. Emotional intimacy is often the gateway to physical betrayal. By the time you notice it, it's already too late. The emotional groundwork has been carefully laid. Women crave emotional connection more than anything else. That's the truth. And it's not about looks or status. It's about the man who listens, the man who makes her feel safe enough to share her unfiltered truth, the man who understands her frustrations, her dreams, and her struggles. When she pours this energy into another man, whether he's labelled just a friend or like a brother, the emotional loyalty she once had for you begins to drift away. Emotional loyalty is the bedrock of a relationship, and once that's shifted, the rest of her loyalty will follow. This is a subtle shift, a slow drain of her energy, and before you know it, you're competing with another man not for her body, but for her heart. Take the case of Mark, a 45-year-old IT technician who learned this painful lesson the hard way. His girlfriend had always had a male best friend, someone she claimed was like a brother. Mark tolerated it at first. After all, this guy had been in the picture long before he came along. They'd grab coffee, text all the time, and laugh together in a way that made Mark uncomfortable. But whenever he raised concerns, she would brush it off, telling him, "Don't be insecure, he's just a friend." Then came a turning point. After an argument with Mark, his girlfriend disappeared for the night. When she returned, she admitted that she'd stayed at her best friend's place because he listens without judgment. That hit hard. Mark tried to let it slide, but deep down, he knew she was turning to him for emotional support that should have been his. What Mark hadn't realised was that her emotional loyalty had already begun to shift. It wasn't about one night. It was about the slow erosion of trust, piece by piece, until he was no longer her primary source of emotional security. Emotional cheating often doesn't look like cheating to women. They tell themselves, "I'm just venting. He understands me." But every time she runs to him with her heartaches, rather than to you, she's strengthening his role as her confidant. And here's the kicker: the male bestie is often sitting there, pretending to listen. But he knows full well that vulnerability opens the door to more. He's not just a good friend. He's a patient man, waiting for the perfect moment. Emotional intimacy is a weapon, and the male bestie wields it with quiet power. It's slow, subtle, but incredibly dangerous. You can't ignore the damage he's doing. So, what do you do first? Don't fall into the trap of outright forbidding her from seeing him. That will only make you appear controlling and insecure. You've got to be smarter than that. Instead, ask the right questions. Why does she need him so much? Why does she go to him when things go wrong, instead of coming to you if her answers are vague or defensive? That's your first red flag. You've got to ask yourself if this emotional reliance is becoming too much of a burden. Next, approach the situation openly. Don't attack, but set clear boundaries. Tell her, "I want to understand why you trust him with your problems more than me. This doesn't feel like partnership. Don't back down on this. Relationships are about balance. If she's relying on him more than on you, something is wrong." And always pay attention to transparency. Does she keep her interactions with him open, or is she hiding texts, deleting messages and making plans in secret? If she's keeping things hidden, that's a massive red flag. That's when you know she's already crossing lines. Here's where things get even tougher. You can't out-talk the male bestie. Don't try to become her therapist. Your role is to be her emotional anchor, the one she can turn to when she's feeling fragile. You need to create a space where she feels safe to be her raw, unfiltered self with you, not with someone else. When she leans on another man for emotional support, she's already halfway out the door. If you ignore it, don't be surprised when that harmless chat turns into something irreversible. The male bestie isn't harmless. He's not just a friend. He's a parasite, feeding off her vulnerabilities. If you don't cut that reliance off at the root, one day you'll wake up and realize you weren't just competing with another man. You were competing with her need to be understood, her desire to share her emotions with someone who gets her. And that's a battle you'll never win unless you remind her why you are the one who deserves that role. So remember this in relationships. Emotional loyalty is everything. Stick to the Stoic principles of self-control and focus on building an iron mind. Don't let the male bestie infiltrate your space. Protect your emotional bond like the rare, precious thing it is, before it's too late. Number 5. the male therapist or counselor? Now, let's talk about the man society tells you to trust, the male therapist or counselor. He's the one with the framed degree on the wall, the professional tone, the office with soft lighting and tissues neatly placed on the table, on the surface. He's here to help, but beneath that professional exterior lies a serious risk to your relationship. If your woman is pouring out her emotions, secrets, and deepest pains to him every week, you might already be losing her without even realizing it. Why is this a problem? Therapy is designed to create intimacy, a safe, non-judgmental space for her to open up. For women who crave emotional release, this environment is incredibly powerful. And let's be honest, how many men are trained to listen with the patience and understanding of a therapist? Not many. What happens? She starts feeling more understood in therapy than at home. She begins comparing, why can't my boyfriend listen like this? Why doesn't he get me the way my therapist does? Before you know it, the man who was supposed to be her partner in life becomes the man she emotionally leans on. Take Michael, for example. He's 47, a construction engineer. His girlfriend started seeing a male therapist to work through some personal struggles. At first, Michael supported it, even encouraged it, thinking it would help her feel better. But gradually, things shifted. She started quoting the therapist's advice in their daily conversations, comparing it to Michael's words. When she had a bad day, instead of opening up to Michael, she rushed to book a session with the therapist. Then, she admitted she felt closer to the therapist than anyone else. That's when Michael realized something was broken. Let's be clear, not every therapist crosses the line. But the danger isn't just in the therapist's intentions, it's in the bond that forms between them. Emotional intimacy can develop, even if the therapist doesn't want it. If your woman is already feeling distant from you, therapy can speed up that process, because the man who hears her fears, tears, and private thoughts becomes the one she feels closest to. So, what's the strategy? First, encourage therapy, but steer it toward couples therapy. That way, the emotional investment is shared. The relationship can be strengthened, not torn apart. Second, set boundaries. If her sessions lead to secrecy or comparisons, address it. Ask her directly. Do you feel like you can only open up in therapy? If she says yes, it's time to fix the way you connect. Finally, pay attention to the emotional shift. Is she leaning on therapy for validation instead of you? If so, that's a red flag. If another man becomes her primary emotional confidant, you're in trouble. Relationships don't die because attraction fades. They die when vulnerability is transferred outside the bond. Don't let that happen. Support her healing, yes, but never let yourself be replaced as the one she trusts most. The male therapist is a risk, not because he's unethical, but because he's in the perfect position to become the one she leans on. If you don't reclaim that role, you risk becoming the outsider in your own relationship. Remember, wisdom isn't just in the advice of others. It's in the deep understanding and connection you have with your partner. Protect that, and you'll protect your relationship. If you find today's content useful to you, don't forget to share your feelings and lessons with us. Or simply comment, "Very cool." It's a great encouragement for our channel makers. Thank you very much. Number 6, the takeaway. Men, listen closely. There are 5 types of men who can easily cross the line with your woman. These aren't just idle threats. They are real and present. The gym guy, the bartender, the CEO, the best friend, and the therapist. Different faces, different places, but all rooted in the same weakness, emotional gaps, and blurred boundaries. And you must understand this. Your woman doesn't drift away because they are better looking, richer, or smarter than you. She drifts because someone else slipped into the emotional space you abandoned. Let that sink in. This isn't about them. It's about you. The cruel irony. If you try to control her out of fear, you push her closer to them. Blind control never works. It's a fatal mistake. As Epictetus, the great Stoic philosopher, put it, wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants. In this case, your desire to control will cost you the thing you value most, her. So what's the real strategy? It's simple. It's not surveillance, it's not jealousy, and it's certainly not spying on her phone. The smartest, most powerful move you can make is building an emotional defense. Not by locking her down, but by becoming the man who is impossible to replace. You must reclaim the space that belongs to you, strengthen your presence, sharpen your awareness, focus on what makes you irreplaceable. Build a bond she doesn't want to escape from in the first place. When you do this, no one can threaten your connection. Take George, for example. At 54, he was dealing with a tough situation. His younger girlfriend was getting close to a male co-worker, lunches, inside jokes, late-night texts about projects. He felt the sting of jealousy, but instead of accusing her, playing the victim, or trying to control her, he took a different route. He sat her down and asked, "Are we losing our spark?" And then he went to work, not on the co-worker, but on himself. He leveled up his health, focused on his career, and reignited their chemistry with thoughtful dates. He didn't beg, he didn't accuse, he upgraded. And you know what happened. The co-worker faded into irrelevance because George reclaimed his space. That is stoicism in action. You are a little soul carrying around a corpse, as Epictetus wisely said. When you master your own mind and life, nothing and no one can take what is rightfully yours. Here's the hard truth: you cannot stop every threat. You can't lock her away from the world. There will always be those gym guys, nightlife charmers, powerful executives, and well-meaning best friends who listen too closely. But the key is this. You can be the man who holds her loyalty by choice, not by force. True security, the kind that lasts, comes from being the man who is simply too valuable to replace. That's how you win. That's how you master your life and relationships. The power to protect what matters lies within you. Take control of yourself first. As the Stoics taught us, the more we value things outside our control, the less control we have. So, focus on what you can control, yourself. Be the man who wins, and the world will bend to your will. Number 7. Mastering emotional defense. How to strengthen your relationship and become irreplaceable. In life, it's crucial to be aware of what's going on in your relationship, because the biggest threats often slip in through unnoticed cracks. The key to emotional defense is not about controlling her, suffocating her, or stalking her every move. It's about mastering your own emotional strength and becoming so valuable, so irreplaceable, that the thought of losing you becomes a risk she won't take. This isn't just theory. It's rooted in Old Stoic wisdom, where control over your emotions is as important as control over your actions. Let's break this down. First and foremost, communication is the foundation. Forget nagging or accusations. Clear, direct. Transparent dialogue is your best tool. Speak about what you see, express how it makes you feel, and listen to her response. A woman who values the relationship will engage with you. A woman who is emotionally drifting will become defensive, which gives you the clarity you need to assess the situation. That's emotional strength, the ability to face uncomfortable truths and deal with them head-on. Next, keep your eyes open, but don't become paranoid. Watch for patterns: how much time she spends with certain people, changes in her energy, or new secrets she's keeping, but do not jump to conclusions. Observe with calm detachment, because true strength lies in maintaining your inner peace. That's how you ensure that your relationship stays solid, free of unnecessary drama. Now, let's talk about your own value. Keep evolving. Don't just focus on physical appearance, but make sure you're mentally sharp, socially connected, and financially stable. The stronger you become in these areas, the more gravitational pull you'll have. And trust me, no other man can compete with a presence that's constantly improving. This is the essence of Stoic principles, being the best version of yourself and not relying on external validation. Boundaries are your next line of defense, but I'm not talking about building walls around her or trying to control her actions. I mean healthy, firm boundaries that communicate respect. If she crosses them, it's not about exercising control, it's about asking whether she still deserves access to your life. The message is clear: you value yourself too much to tolerate disrespect, and she must respect your limits if she wants to stay close. Here's the ultimate truth. The best emotional defense isn't fear. It's strength. You can't be everywhere, watching everything, but you can become the man who is so centered, so valuable, so irreplaceable, that losing you becomes the real risk she won't want to take. When you focus on developing an iron mind and unshakable confidence, you aren't worried about chasing threats. Instead, you become the man who no one could ever replace, which is exactly how you win. Now let's break it down further. You've heard about the 5 types of men who can easily cross the line if you're not careful. The gym guy who gets physical proximity, the bartender or DJ with their seductive nightlife energy, the wealthy businessman who pulls with power and status, the male best friend who siphons emotional energy, and the therapist who listens and slowly becomes the most trusted man in her life. Each of these men wears a different mask, but they all pose the same danger. They step into the gaps that you've left open. Let's be clear here, this isn't about demonizing these men or their professions. Not every gym trainer is out to steal your woman. Not every bartender is plotting behind your back. But the problem isn't about their jobs or intentions. It's about when your emotional gaps, unchecked boundaries, and neglected intimacy create an opening. That's when another man can slip in and claim what you should have been guarding. But here's the hopeful part. You don't need to control her or the world around you to keep your relationship safe. You don't need to lock her down, forbid her from living her life, or invade her privacy. That kind of paranoia only weakens your position. What you need is mastery, but not over her, over yourself. You need to be the man who holds the frame of the relationship. And when you do that, you become someone who can't easily be replaced. And trust me, that's the only insurance policy you need. So remember, true emotional defense isn't about chasing threats or locking her away. It's about becoming the man she'll never want to lose. When you follow these principles, you build an unshakable bond, one that no other man can breach. Master yourself, maintain your value, communicate directly, and set boundaries with confidence. That's how you win. The Old Stoic wisdom reminds us, control yourself, and you will never be controlled. So, take this lesson to heart. Be the man who stands firm in his own worth, and watch how the world and your relationship changes around you. All right, my friends, that's all for today's discussion on how 5 men can easily cross the line with your woman, backed by some timeless Stoic wisdom. If you found this video valuable, don't forget to hit that like button, share it with others, and of course, subscribe to stay tuned for more insights like this. If you have thoughts, feedback, or anything you'd like to discuss about today's content, please drop a comment below. I'd love to hear what you think and engage with you on this topic. Remember, this isn't just about theory. It's about real, practical wisdom that can make a difference. Stay wise, stay strong, and take care of those relationships. See you in the next one.